This is going to be a really special one. Again, I'd love it if everyone can get on their feet to welcome everybody onto the stage today. We've got Ian Wright, footballing legend and broadcaster, Tati Lindenberg, SVP of Marketing at Dirt Is Good and Unilever, Tico Fernandes, Creative Director of KondZilla, and Jeanette, Kwakye, presenter and athlete, welcoming to the stage.
Hello, everyone, and shout out to those in the Arsenal shirts in the crowd. Yeah. Really excited to be here today. I'm Jeanette Kwakye, former British sprinter, Olympian, now broadcaster, massive Arsenal fan, so it's all good here. But welcome to our panel. Going to get to our guests in a moment, but this is Varzenal. This is Arsenal F.C. reimagined in Brazil, the football capital of the world. It is an incredible project. Before we get started, I do want to show you a quick video showing you the amazing work that's been going on in Brazil. Have a look at this. Okay, right, loving the Brazilian vibes. You can tell what this kind of chat is going to be like, and I'm excited to introduce our panelists. First up, I've got my friend, Arsenal legend, England legend, Ian Wright, football broadcaster, podcaster. He's the guy, the cultural icon. Give it up for Ian Wright, please, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. Please, thank you.
Next here, we've got Tico Fernandes, creative director, filmmaker at KondZilla Productions. KondZilla is Brazil's #1 YouTube channel, 67 million subscribers. It is absolutely huge, a massive, massive platform. Give it up for Tico, please.
Thank you.
Tico's first time in London, by the way, so he's really enjoyed it. Yeah, we've got a good welcome. And finally here, we've got Tati Lindenberg, Chief Brand Officer, Senior Vice President at Unilever. She leads this project, the #1 global laundry brand, Dirt Is Good. It's known as Persil here in the UK and OMO in Brazil, amongst other places as well. So I've got a fantastic lineup, some brilliant questions, and I'm really looking forward to diving into this. So let's get to it. Now, the first thing we're going to kick off with is fandom. I'd like to say that when it comes down to football fandom, what Arsenal have been able to do is create an incredible set of fans, and it's cultural, it's historic, and it runs so deep. It transcends borders, really, doesn't it, when you think about it, and it unites people across cultures. So, Tati, I want you to kick us off, actually, and by telling us what Varzenal is all about. I like the wordplay, and how much the Arsenal fandom in Brazil really sparked this idea.
So Varzenal literally means the blending of the words Arsenal Football Club and várzea. And várzea, for the ones who do not know, is how we name the fields prone to flooding in Brazil in which grassroots football is played. To be honest, it was the place in which football was first ever played in Brazil, so there might be some magic there. So the important thing to say is obviously it became with time more than just a field, but it became a place of culture, identity, and community. And in fact, as we were exploring and researching subcultures in Brazil football, we identified something remarkable, that several of these grassroots football teams were named Arsenal. Not because, of course, they have any official
not Chelsea,
ties.
Not Liverpool, not Tottenham.
Arsenal.
And not because of any official ties, but simply because of the passion and the love they had for the club. So that's when we decided to create the OMO Varzenal Cup. Is we call a fun first insight type of activation, and we brought together 8 of these Arsenal-inspired teams to play on a tournament, and the final took place in London 2 weeks ago at the home of Arsenal, the Emirates Stadium.
That is amazing. So these teams, they've based themselves off of Arsenal. It's based on the fandom and the love and the culture, and I'm guessing a bit of name play, a bit of logo play as well. did Arsenal FC, were they all right with that, yeah?
No, it took a good 5-6 months for us to get there.
But we got there in the end. They understand that. And I guess, Ian, you know, what makes Arsenal Football Club so special when it comes down to club and community? Because it's not just in North London, it's around the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You probably have to look back with Arsenal's history and pioneering. You know, I think you go back to like I'd say late 70s, early 80s with, you know, seeing Caribbean players and how much that was such a boost for the community. Seeing Caribbean players playing, then you see African players. And then you see Arsenal again, when I talk about pioneering, they were some of the first to see those players playing. Then you look at the women's game, how they pioneered the women's game, and you saw what happened only a couple of weeks ago with what's happened with what they've become. And then I think one of the biggest things for Arsenal, and especially with our global recognition, is Arsene Wenger and the amazing football that his teams played, which people had that connection with Arsenal. And I go back to talking about, like, when you speak about, like, me looking up and seeing a player that looks like me, that resonates in the community. Arsenal still have, for me, one of the most diverse fan bases in world football. So they're always pioneering in that respect. And also, like I say, when you look at the way we played football, that is something that traveled globally, the way Arsenal played beautiful football. So to have Arsenal's name on these badge of Brazilian teams, which is the world to us when we were growing up, first one 1970, for Brazilian football to recognize Arsenal like that and want that connection is absolutely magnificent for a club like Arsenal.
Yeah, it's really saying something, isn't it? Like you say, it just transcends the borders. And you mentioned Arsene Wenger there. This is one of the managers pioneering in the kind of players that he brought to the club and from different countries as well. So you can see how all of a sudden all the countries are going to converge on that one particular team. Tico, I want to ask you, what did you find most powerful about these fans that you saw, the players and the communities that they've built? What was it that really stood out for you?
I think what struck me the most is, like, these guys, they don't, like, borrow the identity, they, like, transform it and make it a new thing about it. So when you see Arsenal in Brazil, especially in the favelas, it's not just a logo for them, it's like a symbol. So we saw people painting crests by hand, like chanting in Portuguese, like wearing those colors, and because it really means something for them. So I think there's beauty on, like, those little things. It's not imitation. It's like a real love that these guys have for Arsenal.
Yeah, it's
and
genuine.
Football,
It's authentic, isn't it? And that's what football tends to do. Tico, I'm going to stay with you, actually, because the creators that got involved with this and how you worked to bring this story to life. You and KondZilla, how did you get involved? And what do you think made this project different from other collaborations that we may have seen globally when it comes to football?
I think what made this project different, like, first of all, is that we didn't start with a script. We started, like, with the community. So we spent, like, months watching várzea games, like, talking to players, understanding how everything worked for them. And maybe something that was different for us, and I would say thanks to Tati for that, is that most of the brands, they want the culture, but they do not want the emotion, the mess, the chaos that's on the underground. And this one embraced all that. And that's why it feels real, because it is real. So I think that's most different for me.
And what were the community like when they found out that this was going to happen? How did they engage? What was the excitement level like?
It was crazy, because these guys, like, they didn't even have a passport, you know, so wow. It's really touching when you see, like, where the dreams can go when they can realize it. Yeah. So they still in party in Brazil, like 2 weeks after, they still, like, festivating.
Which is brilliant, because, again, this is football. Across the borders. It's so accessible, isn't it? It's one of those sports you go onto the field, you just need maybe a couple pairs of shoes either end, and that's your goal. You know what I mean? You've got the access to be able to do that. Tati, for you, what was your philosophy behind the partnership? And, you know, why work with someone like Tico and KondZilla to kind of bring this to life?
Well, pretty much as Tico was saying, we strongly believe that if you want to show up in culture, we needed to share authority. We can no longer just brief someone and say, can you please help us to tell that story? But actually, the briefing was just tell the story the way that it should be, or the way that it actually is. And KondZilla, as you've mentioned, is a cultural powerhouse in Brazil. I'm a big fangirl of KondZilla, so they know that. And as a consequence of that, because they are very on history and storytelling is rooted in the lived experiences of people who we wanted to engage with. So they could tell the story as it really is, and that trust and creative freedom is what made it like so real and so authentic.
And just giving them the control to be able to do that, how important was that you just gave them the control and said, you know what, make this happen? Yeah,
it is fundamental. It is a bit daunting in a way. I was like, okay, fine, let it be. Even the entire approach, usually when we are producing an advertising, we are very, very careful with every single detail. And in this case, there were many meetings that I was like, let it go, Tati, let it go. They know how to do it. So yes, it requires this ability of understanding that they know that culture, and you must be humble to allow it happening.
It's an element of trust there, isn't there? And trusting each other, that knowing that, A, that's your platform that you worked very hard to build, but that's also your brand, that's your project that you want to make sure can go off and go well. Which brings me to this point then, I guess, Ian. You know, I mean, you've worked across football, media, brands, you've seen it change right from the 90s to where we are now. And what's your take on how these partnerships can go right and sometimes very wrong?
Well, I think when you just listen to Tati and Tico talking about it, it's something that's real. So when you come in as a brand, I think it can go right. When you come in as a brand and you're coming in with a genuine connection, which we see the connection is not only genuine, it's unique with Arsenal and the Várzea grassroots. And when we're talking about Arsenal, we're talking about the elite game and grassroots football. One can't exist without the other. So when you have a connection like that, it's very easy. You know, you're talking about like Tati and her brand, like she's put her old brand's hands into KondZilla, so they can just go and make something that is real. And that is what I loved about it. It's like doing the press conferences with the guys. It's real. It's something that they would never have dreamt that they would end up, you know, playing at the Emirates. And that has all come because the love for the game, the love for Arsenal, and the fact that you've got a brand that's come in and they're giving something back to the fans, giving them something. For me, where it goes wrong is that you get brands that come in and they want to take. They're continually taking. When you're looking at fans, they continue having to pay for things, pay for stuff. You look at, to watch football in this country, you have to have a Sky subscription, TNT. You have to have an Amazon. You know, it's constant take. And this is why, for me, with this and the way this has gone, it's the perfect way to come in, because that's how it can go wrong. When you come in and you're trying to, for want of a better word, you're eating off the top. You've got to come into the game with a genuine connection, and that is why this one works so much.
I know you met some of the guys when they came over from Brazil to the Emirates. What were they like?
You know something? I've done the press conference with the guys, and like I just started crying. You know what I mean? Because the realization of what they've done, because like I say, they started in the grassroots with Arsenal, with nothing other than love for Arsenal and love for playing, and they've ended up at the Emirates. The only, the only thing I'd like to see for them is for Arsenal and everybody to make sure that they're able to get the fans in there, because that is a massive part of what they're doing as well, the energy, the vibe, you know, and that is what I'd like to see when they do it the next time, that the fans are in there, because it's an unbelievable occasion and a brilliant ploy from you guys.
Amazing. I hope the team from Arsenal are in here listening to that, Get the crowds in.
Bring the
to
crowds
the Emirates
in.
so we can all watch these guys play from Brazil. Now let's talk about dirt. Because when you think about dirt, the whole thing about this project, dirt is good. You really leaned into this, didn't you, Tati? It's backed by a laundry brand. And I mean, I do a lot of laundry. I've got 2 kids and a husband, right? I don't find it particularly sexy. But what you've done here, you've leaned into this rather than run away from dirt being a bad. You've said, okay, let's embrace the dirt. Why have you done that?
So dirt is good has been our guiding principle for over 20 years. And the entire idea, unlike other laundry brands, is that we don't see dirt or stains as an enemy or something to be avoided, but you actually must embrace dirt because it's a sign of effort, courage, and agency, to be honest. So it's specifically in this project, we leaned into dirt as a sign of resilience, because at the end, Brazilian grassroots football is all about grit. There is no glamour. It's really about grit. So we took this angle of dirt being good in that sense and being a representation of the resilience that those teams have. Pretty much as Ian mentioned, they only have a love for Arsenal and love for the game, the beautiful game, and that's it. But what made it even more special for us is, again, when exploring the subculture of várzea, we realized something that OMO, which is how we call Persil in Brazil, has always been there. Because pretty much like playing music, firing up a barbecue, doing laundry is part of the weekend ritual in Brazil. So you go, play your game, come back home. So that's why we say that those muddy kids, more often than not, they are washed with OMO. Yeah. So we were very happy to see that it was the guiding philosophy of the project or the insight behind it, but it was also part of it. So we were there. We were just shedding a light on an area that we were always there as in the background.
It's a really interesting take on it. It's a really interesting perspective because when you think about dirt, you do think about resilience. You know, I look at sometimes the kids come home from school and they are filthy, but I know they've had a good day. You know, they've had a good day at school, they've had the paint and they've had everything, they've grass stains everywhere. It's been a good day.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting way of thinking about it. And it brings me to the point, actually, when we think about grassroots. Now, Wright, you've played on pitches that have been muddy, you know, you can't even see the grass, the pitches that you've played on. But then you've played on some of the world's biggest stages, pristine grass, incredibly sanitized. What role did resilience and grit play for you, right from when you were young to where, you know, to where it took you and to what you see now when you're on the pitch side?
Well, when you're on the pitch now, it's like a snooker table. It's like, you know, I can't believe it, you know, there's no bubbles. I think that, like the Brazilian game, when we was younger, with the dirt, with the mud, it actually helped your game because you had to watch the ball, you had to try to dribble through grass and mud where it actually helped your game. I didn't have any problem with the dirt. I love the dirt. Obviously, I was afraid of like going home, like, because when I'm playing, I'd go all in on the dirt, and then my mum would go crazy when she saw how dirty I was, to the point where she's saying, "Are you a goalkeeper?" You know what I mean? Because I was so dirty. But like, the main thing with me, it wasn't that. That was never a problem for me, the dirt. And my main problem was the rejection that I had all through trying to get into it. The dirt and playing was never a problem, simply because I was playing. You know, it was never a problem for me. And that's, again, I mentioned that because, you know, like women, they couldn't play. You know, I could even play in mud and stuff like that. So I still felt very fortunate now, I'm at the age I'm at now, to look back and say, even when it was that dirty, I could still play. There's girls who couldn't. Yeah. So you just have to be grateful for the fact that I ended up playing. The dirt helped me, helped my touch, because when I got onto the good pitches, I thought, wow, this is much better than the pitch I was played on before, and then your game gets better.
Do you know, I saw a quote recently from, I think it was Rafael Nadal, and he was saying that his dad used to put him onto every single surface when it came down to tennis, regardless of whether it was incredibly, you know, maintained or if it was really rough, whatever the weather, because his dad wanted him to understand this is what it is. Yeah. You need to be able to play in any surface and any surface when you need to be. Were you like that with your boys a bit when it came down to them getting dirty and getting gritty? Yeah,
I genuinely wanted them to be dirty. I wanted them to be stuck in. Yeah. I'm not saying just you're going and playing and you're diving on the floor on purpose unless you're a goalkeeper, but get into the game. You know, don't worry about your surface. As you get better, you play on better surfaces, but while you're playing now, get as much fun and as much love out of it as you possibly can, because if you can find that on those kind of pitches like I did, and then you get to the better pitches, you'll realize how blessed you are to be playing on the better pitch, and then you probably play better anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
It's all part of the journey.
100%. Tico, for you, translating this energy, I'm going to say, of dirt and grit and resilience visually in this film, was that a difficult thing? Was that something that was quite challenging for you to get across?
No, it wasn't difficult because, just like they say, if it's a good game, you're gonna get dirty. So, especially in the movie, in the film, dirt is not something that we want to hide. It is something that we want to highlight. So, we were like in real places with no art direction. We were like dusty everywhere, like real kids playing barefoot, and you can see the joy in their eyes. So, just like Ian said, that's the real football, like worldwide, and especially in Brazil. Like that's the football that I know. Since I was a kid, is this one that I've seen. So I think every stain tells a story, and in the film we want to celebrate it.
Yeah. Was there anything in particular that you really focused in on when it came down to the grit and to the dirt and to the resilience in the film?
I think one moment that you can see like the dust is after every goal, which they like start to make a mess, and I think that's the moment where we most wanted to go with the camera so you can see like how it really is like the vision of someone that just made a goal on várzea.
Yeah, there's something really interesting about that, isn't it? When you see professional players or in any sport and they've been bloodied or they're dirty, you're like, oh my God, they're going through it. You know, it really does tell a story of everything. So dirt is good. To be able to kind of flip that on its head is something pretty special. Now, just a couple more questions before we kind of wrap this up and I get to show you guys something pretty special. What would you say this particular experience has really taught you, Tico? You know, from the initial conversations with Tati to your mood boards and your thoughts and your feelings and dealing with these creators, what's it really kind of given you?
I think from the start, we were like trying how to make this connection. And then when we found out that there was like this magical thing, there are a lot of teams playing, we started to write it down, but you know, it wasn't the script. It was like going into the várzea, and I don't know, it just happened. Mm.
Do you think that this is something that's going to be able to hopefully grow, or hopefully with the team, but not only that, just change the way a lot of these young people playing grassroots football in Brazil might think about things?
I think that might help them, inspire them, you know, because when you see stories like that, like these guys that couldn't never dream about it and now realizing it, I think it spread the word. So we already seeing a lot of guys like hitting me on Instagram, hey, where's going to be the next one? No, how can I be there? So I think the message is...
It's pretty clear, and then you've got this incredible platform. I mean, 67 million subscribers is crazy numbers. But then how much has that really helped you push this agenda to let these kids know that this is where you need to be seen, this is where the access can come from?
How do I...
Yeah, so how did your platform let these young people know that this is where it's at, this is what it needs to happen for you to be able to be seen on this platform?
Yeah, that's like the main thing for us, like to give voice to these guys. So we are like opening in our social media, like posting everywhere, using YouTube, using like Instagram to share and make these guys try to see how it is like to be on Football Star, you know. Yeah. So how can we like approach them to this word? And I think we're starting this.
Because you've got these incredible stars in Brazil, and sometimes they almost feel and look untouchable, but this kind of brings it a little bit closer. What would you say for you, Wrighty, that's kind of, you've looked at this and thought, wow, this is an experience that, they're a brand, but actually you've really felt it in your heart?
I tell you what, I was very proud of the fact that Arsenal was one of the team that they chose to be on their shirts, without everything that's come from it. I'm very proud of that fact. I'm proud of the fact that being able to be there and watch them, the emotion, what it means, you know, again, the power of football to be able to bring people together and unite communities is what this, for me, and what Arsenal have done in this particular situation. But it's, again, it probably, watching it, it's the emotion. I learned that it comes down to the bare fact that it's just the love of the football. And again, I'll go back to the brands and OMO, to Persil, whatever you want to call it, to give something back to the fans, to give them something like that, which they've not asked for, is a brand that's come in And they've gone deep to find out what's the connection. How can we make this work to a point where it makes you smile when you pick up our product? That's what this does. That's what I've learned from it. You have to go to the real core of it, and that is the love. That's the love of the game.
I don't know if you guys seen the advert with Bukayo Saka, where the little girl, she's got her autograph, and mum, one of her parents washes it. I screamed, because I know, like, if I did that to my son, he would not chat to me again, like it would have been a situation. But it is that, isn't it? That's actually resonated with me. That's made me think to myself, wow, it's not just about playing football and getting dirty, but actually there are things in this where the fans need to be able to connect. And when you think about Brazil and its connection to football and connection to Arsenal, how does it actually make you feel, Unks? Like, how does it make you feel inside?
Me personally?
Yeah.
No, I'm very proud because, like I say, my first main football match, what I saw, which made me really open my eyes, was 1970 World Cup. It was the first World Cup that was in colour. So, you've seen people like Pele. So once we saw this, everybody, I don't know any black people especially, and there's white people, obviously my mates, we wanted to be Brazilians. We wanted to pray. We wanted to play like Brazilians. Everybody wanted to. I wanted to change my name to it never sounded good. Ian with any Gino or Wino. It never sounded good. Rightinho. It doesn't sound good. But what it meant to me is, again, to have the link with such an amazing and the most winning like nation of football, and Arsenal have got that link. It makes you feel very, very proud of it. And again, it's coming from the dirt to elite.
Yeah.
And again, the elite can't come without the grassroots. They come hand in hand.
They do. You see it here. Every Sunday, kids are out there. Every weekend, they're out there with their parents, running around on those grassroots pitches. And what about you, Tati? Because I guess for someone who is so close to this and so senior in making this happen, there must have been some experiences for you that you thought, wow, okay, never thought I'd be doing this in my job.
No, of course. I think personally, pretty much like Ian mentioned, it made me think of my first World Cup, which was the 1994. Not that I played,
don't worry about it. It's fine.
But
I did go back far, didn't I?
You did. Yeah. When you said 1970, I said,
I was 7.
Yeah.
I was 7.
That's okay. No, but it made me really look at the profound love for sport and football in Brazil, and especially the raw game, because there is a lot about the glamour, and of course Brazilian footballers tend to have a lot, good and bad, associated to them. But I think in this case it was the raw, beautiful game. So personally speaking, it was very emotional for me as Brazilian to see that and to see how important it is. We received a video last week with actually the final playing in schools in the place where the Arsenal Guarulhos, the winners, it's okay. The Arsenal Guarulhos, the winner of the tournament is from. So just thinking about those kids and how inspired they were to see, like, their people, like their community represented. So personally for me it was very, very emotional, very deep. But professionally I think the key learning is the point of authorship, as we discussed it, and making sure that you retain the brand and the principles, and that's why it's important to have such strong principles around a brand, but at the same time you flex the way that you engage with the ones who are shaping and creating culture, be it KondZilla, be it partners, Arsenal as another example, or influencers in general. So long were the days that brands could stay like closed and believe that we could control the narratives. Actually, it is out there. And I think this is a beautiful example that we are finding this balance between how much we give away, how much we retain. But I think well, so far it's working. So
it's been brilliant actually just to listen and see this partnership is something that has come together and the balance has been right. You've got the level quite right. But can I be cheeky and ask you, were you scared about handing a bunch of stuff over?
Oh, of course. Very scared. And it's with everything. We had multiple conversations. How do we show the logo? What is the color of the brand? So the brand, for instance, is navy blue. But everything around Varzenal is red, because Arsenal is red. So even small little details about which color, the font, the tonality, the music. Also, KondZilla is well known for being a channel about funk music. And not all of them could be featured in our content as well. So also finding the balance, as you said, between what is Dirt is Good and what is KondZilla and what is Arsenal was a challenge.
And what would you say to any brands that want to work in this football space? Because this is what happens a lot of the time. You know, I speak to so many brands and so many clubs, and everybody wants a piece of football, and they're never quite sure how to do it. Like Wright, you said, you're creaming off the top, you're not really getting into it. Any advice that you'd give to someone who's thinking of, right, I want to get in with this football club, how can I do that?
So I think it is relatively simple.
Yep.
Every single brand can do what we call football sponsorship. You pay a fee, go there, get a set of rights, use it. I think what we have to do, everybody or every brand that wants to be involved in football or in sport, is to find the unique angle of the brand into that sport. In our case, it is dirt. So even every time I speak with my team, if there is no dirt involved, we are not touching it. And as you rightly said, for instance, about the autograph film, it is about a stain. Yeah. It's a stain, in this case, ink stain that is autographed on a shirt, but the whole story could not exist without that stain and the detergent removing that stain. Likewise, the OMO Varzenal Cup could not exist without showing that. Try to see what we are sharing. Without that, it doesn't exist. So I think the most important and relevant aspect is for every brand to find how can I move from a sponsorship to a partnership and to a collaboration, and by doing so, what is unique about the brand. I remember that I was in South by West in Austin 2 or 3 weeks back, and I remember a talk from Lego and Apple, and they were saying that at Lego, everything starts with a brick. Yeah. And I say the same, that in Dirt is Good, everything starts with dirt. No dirt, we don't have a story.
That's fantastic. Sponsorship to partnership to collaboration, and then it feels really real. It's been brilliant, guys. Okay. Just before I let you guys go, I think this has been absolutely fantastic. I've learned so much just being up here. I'm going to show you the trailer that's going to be launching this project. Have a look at this.
Soccer, what does this game mean to you?
Forget the headlines, the high-profile contracts, the floodlights, the flawless pitch. What's left? The game in its purest form. A ball and the dirt beneath your feet. From the streets of North London to the favelas of Brazil. Arsenal isn't just football. It's a community built around the pitch. We play for where we come from, for our people, for our ground, from the dirt and back to it. And we've always been there, after every match, like a ritual. That's why we created the OMO Varzenal Cup, a tournament with 8 local teams inspired by Arsenal F.C. for the chance to bring their story to London. From Várzea, the dirt pitches of Brazil, to the home of Arsenal F.C., the Emirates Stadium. Because no matter where the game begins or how the kits get stained, dirt isn't just where football starts. Dirt is where football belongs. OMO Varzenal Cup. Dirt is glory. You could have said it better, to be fair. That's why I came, bro.
Oh, amazing. Please join me in saying a very, very massive thank you to Tati, to Tico, and to Ian Wright. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.